Hello, everyone. I don't think I was told to stay away from Iron Blooded Orphans. I was told to stay away from something in the Gundam timeline, and I just thought, you know what? I think this is interesting. I've been told about Iron Blooded Orphans. I know a little bit about it. I would never want to be in this goddamn universe. So yeah, let's go.
Last time we did one of these videos, we discussed the horrifying nature of the Gundam
Oh
Barbatos,
yeah.
being that it's a Gundam that takes inspiration from demonology and the story of Faust. The horror of it comes baked in. However, it went understated in that video just how horrible the world around the Barbatos is. It's one thing to have a horrifying concept.
I love the fact that he said how horrifying it is when the fact of the premise is literal orphans fighting in Mecca to get a better life. Bruh.
But it's another thing to have a horrifying concept within a universe that, in and of itself, is a horrifying concept. Sort of like a multi-layer cake or something. I don't know if that analogy makes sense, but I'm hungry. Maybe I need to remember to eat lunch before I start these scripts. Anyway, what I wanted to do today was take a bit of time to break down the elements of this particular universe that I find so goddamn horrifying. The universe of Iron Blooded Orphans might be the darkest universe in all of Gundam, bearing the level of bleakness that I've compared to Warhammer 40,000 more than once. On the flip
Yeah, I can see it kind of.
side, I love dark and fucked up stories, so let's
Oh
get into
boy.
it. Do you want to know what isn't horrifying, though? Today's sponsor, Manta Sleep. I'm one of those.
Yeah, no, I don't care enough about you to, do that, so.
This first part requires that I explain a little bit of this timeline's history. About 300 years before Iron Blooded Orphans takes place, there was an event called the Calamity War. We don't really know a whole lot about it outside of the fact that humanity was fighting AI-controlled mobile armors, and Gundams were specifically engineered to bring these damn things down. One of the highlights of the second season is actually the Gundam Barbatos Lupus and the Tekkadan team bringing one of these mobile armors down. Now, the kicker with these machines is that they all used beam weaponry, sort of like your standard Gundam universe. So
From what I remember, and from what Matt has told me, because I believe we actually reacted to a video about this or something, the reason the AI units specifically use beam weapons is because they're not as effective against other Gundam units. They're more effective against killing people, like normal people. While a lot of the time they do use normal bullets, like lead bullets and all that stuff against the mobile suits themselves. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure someone will, and I'm grateful if you do. But yeah,
they took a similar principle to that of the development of the Yakushiki in the Universal Century and built their Gundams with armor that is meant to repel beams.
Yep, there it is.
Now, it's not foolproof because we see the mobile armor in Season 2 melt off part of Barbatos' armor with a single shot. I wouldn't compare it to something like Gundanium in Gundam Wing, for example. It's not quite as durable, but it is pretty up there against beam tech. The big thing is that this invention, called nanolaminate armor coating, effectively changed the culture of war after humanity managed to win the Calamity War. Beam weaponry suddenly became gauche, and ballistic weapons, instead, became the rule of the day.
Yeah, see, like I was saying, like you said, like I just said, from what I can remember, Mech told me that the fact is beam weapons aren't effective against the mobile suits in this universe. However, they're mostly used to kill people, while ballistic weapons are used perfectly against the mobile suits.
So why is this horrifying exactly? Well, if you had the choice of being disintegrated in an instant and not feeling it, or being crushed to death slowly, which one do you pick? Personally, whenever I croak, I don't want to feel it. The simple fact about ballistic weaponry is that it is messy. Anytime someone gets shot with a bullet in real life, it's a very bloody affair. Now imagine this on a much larger scale. The combat in Iron Blooded Orphans is flat out brutal.
Oh yeah.
And we often see people get bisected in their cockpits, sometimes vertically, crushed to death or splattered by bullets, or get impaled extremely. Granted, I don't know how you could get impaled normally, I just want to put emphasis. Anyway, it paints a level of brutality that I honestly feel might be the most effective depiction of violence in any mecha that I've ever seen. This show has a very matter-of-fact approach to blood and death, and sometimes that's enough to disturb you into not wanting to do it yourself. So, in short, there isn't really a good way to die, but some of the worst ways that you could die in a giant robot will happen to you in Iron Blooded Orphans. Hi, kids. Do you like Skynet? Well, we have Skynet for you. Another one of those worst aspects of this particular universe is the mobile armors themselves.
There it is.
Now, mobile armors have been a staple of Gundam ever since the original show, but there's something that we need to be honest about. They're largely a joke. They exist to get the shit kicked out of them by the protagonist and his or her Gundam. The one thing that's interesting about Iron Blooded Orphans is that it does at least have a twist on this. Now, not much is really known about how these things were built, but they have the intrinsic horror of being machines that purely exist to exterminate human beings. Thus my reference to the Terminator earlier. Now, this obviously is not a new concept. If you've read Asimov, you're aware of this idea. If you've read Harlan Ellison, if you've watched James Cameron, or if you've read anything from the Black Library and other such places, you'll see stories written about man mucking about too much and making weapons that want to kill us all. What makes the mobile armor in this universe so horrifying is that they are self-sustaining machines. Each particular mobile armor that we see has these little bastards running around them called Pluma. These machines are built by the mobile armor, and also exist to repair the mobile armor, and to fight off anything attacking it.
Oh, yeah.
Effectively, each mobile armor is an army unto itself. It's like a queen ant with all of its little fucking drones. And think about having to fight that for a second. You're in combat with your buddies. You've trained for this. You're ready for this. You're gung-ho. Fuck yeah, let's get this mobile armor, boys. Bleh. So you're going to try to fight off this mobile armor. But you keep getting swarmed by these little fucking bug robots. You can't get them off you. And then when you do, you actually beat them, you see that any damage that you did to the mobile armor, it's already been repaired by the other ones. And now, the little ones, they're reproducing. More of them are coming. And there ain't a fucking thing that's repairing you. Fighting off one of these machines must feel like doing a horrifying impression of Sisyphus. All you're doing is pushing the rock back up for it to fall down again. And you're going to be stuck there until these things tear you apart, rip you out of the machine, and then probably turn you into paste. It also makes you wonder what sick mind even thought of these things, and exactly how terrifying the war against them had to have been. I mean, apparently it killed a quarter of humanity. Not quite Giran zombie numbers, but still.
Not gonna lie, every time I hear something like it killed a quarter of humanity, I'm like, man, at this point, that's just whatever.
Man, can somebody just greenlight a Calamity War anime already? We've had 2 series about teenage girl angst. Can we just get back to the fucking war crimes?
No. The fuck would you want war crimes? That's stupid.
In the Universal Century, we see a couple bits of technology that exist to try to make it almost second nature for a pilot to execute maneuvers in the cockpit of their machine. In Gundam Thunderbolt, we see the amputations that lead to Daryl being able to control the Psycho Zaku with reaction time
I hate
on
Thunderbolt so fucking
par of a
much.
Gundam. Then we get the invention of the biosensor in Zeta and Double Zeta Gundam. And then the evolution of that in the Psycho frame. All of which make it easier for a pilot to control things with their mind. But the problem is in some cases, you can either get a psychic feedback like Camille did, or in some cases, basically get your soul absorbed into the machine. All of that is horrifying. However, Iron Blooded Orphans has its own level of grimdark when it comes to this sort of an idea. Taking cues from how Knights and Titans are piloted within Warhammer 40,000, a system exists that allows a mobile suit to interface directly with the nervous system of the pilot. This is called the Alea Vignana system, and on a personal level, it was one of the ideas presented within this universe that actually did make my stomach churn. Now, being able to control machinery with your nervous system kind of is a stereotypical cyberpunk sort of a thing. In this particular case, the tech was invented during the Calamity War to do exactly what you think it does: increase reaction time. The thing is, using this technology became a taboo after the Calamity.
I just want to say this. War makes monsters of us all. Like, legitimately. And I'm pretty sure at that point when they were doing the war, they're like, okay, we have to start making this system that'll basically have our pilots get eaten by their own units over time, kind of thing. Because we're losing more and more people as days go by. And it's kind of like, meh.
War. And because of technology degradation and censorship by Gallarhorn over the course of 300 years, the time gap on when you can actually have this thing implanted got smaller and smaller. Effectively, the only real way to successfully implant this technology into someone with an even decent success rate to it is when you're a fucking child. They have to do it when you're young, so that the implants fuse into you as you grow up. If for some reason the surgery fails, there's going to be some grotesque cell growth around your implantation area, making it impossible for you to move your legs. It can even kill you. And some people that actually lose the use of their legs end up killing themselves. Oh, and there's multiple surgeries on top of it. So that's always fun. Imagine being a kid having to get this sort of spinal surgery done. And I don't think they use anesthetic. You have the first one done, and it succeeds. But one of your buddies doesn't have working legs anymore. He's over there tying a noose. And another one of your buddies is headed straight for the grave. And you've still got more surgeries to look forward to. And then an eventual death inside of a robot fighting for a war that you have no input in. Oh, and if you're piloting a Gundam, there's a good chance that you might push yourself so much that suddenly you can't use some of your limbs. That's always great. What's even worse is when you find out about the Grey's Ein. This thing is flat out the Gundam version of a dreadnought from Warhammer 40,000. A pilot named Ein Dalton was injured to the point of near death, and after a proposal from Shar clone McGillis Farid, he was interred into this giant mobile suit. Now, predictably, he gets killed again by the end of Season 1, and they still find use for him. They take his brain out, and they use it to recreate the original Alea Viniana system.
Jesus
so basically,
Christ.
He lived his life as a soldier, only for his legacy was that he gets the same implantation process as kids, gets turned into a living machine, and then after that, the only thing he's going to be remembered for is what he contributed as a brain. And it's just to get somebody else more power. Iron Blooded Orphans is fucking miserable.
Oh yeah, no, it's depressing as shit. It's seriously depressing as shit.
Sometimes one of the most horrifying things that you can do as a writer is introduce someone to the idea of a universe that is so different from your own in regards to its values that it seems like a complete and total opposite to your own existence. As such, it's difficult to perceive, because you have never seen anything like it. You have to make it a universe that is so barbaric that you can't see it as anything modern, despite the technology being more advanced than your own. I've referenced Warhammer 40k, and I'm gonna fucking do it again. It's a prime example of a universe that has advanced technology, but is so barbaric in the way it does things that we can't even process how we got there. Iron Blooded Orphans is no different. And someone in the...
Actually, the problem is, so I kind of hate saying this, and I'm probably sure someone's going to disagree with me on this. A lot of the time, I can actually see how we get there, like, legitimately, and, with the way things are right now in the world as is, I think people are starting to realize that we're one step away from getting that barbaric. So even if you try saying something like you can try to separate yourself from this, but truth is, it's sometimes fiction imitates life, you know what I mean? And it's getting really bad.
The comments is going to say, Micah, are you basically saying that this is the 40k of Gundam? Yes! In this day and age,
I thought the 40k of Gundam was literally Thunderbolt.
We have a general respect for human life, for the most part. There are obviously parts of the world that don't. There are obviously people that don't. But we usually consider nations that do such things to be savages, and we look down upon such practices. Sometimes there's even consequences. The post-disaster timeline is very different in that regard. And I think that's the crux of what makes this universe so horrifying. Part of the reason you can get away with something like the Alea Viniana system, or simply having a stock of children to do it to, and to put into robots, to fight your wars for you, is simply because your world does not value human life, nor the innocence.
You have no idea how fucking true that is right now, brother. You have no idea how fucking true that is. God fucking damn it.
To children. At least not in the sense that you or I would. The war economy in this universe has no sense of ethics. There is no Geneva Convention, nor is there even a Geneva Suggestion. Many of the horrors that we read about from decades or even centuries ago that were brought about by war are ever present within this timeline. Many of the experienced soldiers that you see within Tekkadan or other mercenary organizations are oftentimes no older than 20 years old. Can you imagine how much combat you have to go through to be considered a veteran before you can even buy a beer?
Child soldiers.
What's worse is that human life is treated like stock options. Slavery is commonplace and not exactly shunned either. This is an issue that would horrify anyone, and the idea of there effectively being an economy based around the trade and usage of child soldiers like they're human debris should terrify everyone. There are battles within this series that can quite literally be summed up as a bunch of kids killing another bunch of kids. What's worse is the detached nature of these wars. Many of these conflicts are called proxy conflicts, which admittedly is something that we see within the modern day. A proxy war will always be terrible because what you're seeing is two opposing forces manipulating other people that they can lord over so that the smaller, less significant people kill each other while the more important people get to keep their hands clean. Things like this are the reason that I'll wake up in the morning and thank God that I was privileged enough to grow up in a place where I could live a normal life instead of effectively being used like a human battery.
Alright, I'm not going to say what I want to say. I legitimately don't know.
To close this one out, the reason why I formatted the list the way that I did was largely because I wanted to emphasize why it is this show is so horrifying. Gundam, by and large, has been an anti-war franchise, and even though I have friends and family members that have fought in wars throughout time, it's not something I want to see people have to go through. One effective method of telling an anti-war story is not to beat someone over the head with the idea by just saying, war bad, war bad, war bad. Looking at you, Gundam Seed. No, I'm not stopping. Rather, sometimes all you have to do is show exactly how absolutely terrifying and horrible war is for people to realize that it's not something we should want to do to ourselves as humans. Anytime that these sort of things happen, even right now, as wars continue to rage, my hope is the same hope that I think Tomino might have had when he created this franchise. That we would observe what's going on, and try to understand the mistakes that we made that brought us to that point, and then wise up so that we don't make the same mistakes again.
I really wish that was true, bud. Kind of to be very... I don't mean to be a downer, but like the way things are lately, I don't know if Tomino's dream will ever come true. We'll see. We'll see.
Because Lord knows, I never want to see this world that I live in become like the horror that is Iron Blooded Orphans. With all that said, folks, appreciate you guys watching this particular video. If you enjoyed it, please do not forget to do the whole YouTube thing of liking, sharing, and subscribing. Also, if you're on mobile, hit the hype button because that gives us a big time chance of increasing the reach of this particular video and helps the channel grow. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're almost there, which means I actually get to take a vacation for once. On top of that, consider becoming a channel member so you can check out our podcast that Shirt Dude and I do called Masters of Lore every single week. So with all that said, my name is Big Mike, your favorite vanilla gorilla, and I will see you guys next time.
Alright guys, if you like this kind of content, do like, comment, subscribe. I am incredibly sorry about the fact that I got really depressing there. Jesus Christ, it's just... You know what, fuck it. No, never mind. Anyway, love you guys. I'll see you all later. Take care, stay safe, be good people. Please, for the love of God, be good people. Also, I'm doing a donathon. For every $25, I will draw you something. Link to my Ko-Fi in the description. If you guys want to help me get a live 2D model, I'd greatly appreciate it. Or join my join my streams if you want. I try to stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Tuesday, Thursday, I record. Every Saturday and Sunday, I mostly just walk around my town and look like a hobo. Okay, bye!